G'day team, it's the old mate, the Kiwi Badger, and we're down here at Harley Davidson Fielding. Now, in other videos I referred to this as Gary's Wolseley Motorcycles. That was its old name. It's still, I suppose, trading as Wolseley Motorcycles, but the preferred name is Harley Davidson Fielding. Still the same great service, still the same great staff. They're just stock Harleys now. So yeah, we're taking this beast for a ride, if the intro hadn't given it away. It's the 2021 Harley Davidson Pan America with the 1250 Revolutionary Max motor. This is the up-spec model. It's got a few extra, I suppose, tricks and gadgets on it, which we'll explain in a minute. So we're going to take this for a bit of a ride. Big tall beast it is. Now, the good thing about this is it's got the active seat height, so when you hop on the bike or power the bike up, it squats down. When you pull up to lights, it squats down 2 inches, and then when you take off, the whole bike lifts up 2 inches. Now to start it, apparently you press it once, it starts on its own. So this is, I suppose, a first impressions review, and I use the word review hesitantly. The Pan American. When I first saw this bike in renderings and conceptual drawings, I thought it was butt ugly. I thought it was one of the most ugliest bikes ever designed. I have to say, this is just my personal opinion, I have to say that it's a damn sight better looking in person. In the flesh, it's a far better bike, or far better looking bike. I've actually ridden, this is the second time I've ridden this bike. The first time my camera corrupted the footage, and yeah, so all I could hear is wind noise and some of the videos wouldn't load. So this is take 2, people. So I've actually had a little bit of a ride on the bike already, done about I don't know, 50 odd K I guess, through some very windy roads. So what can I tell you about the bike? This is not going to be a huge chat about all of the specs of the bike. If you want that, go to Harley Davidson Fielding, select this bike, and it will tell you all of the stats. Now, I'll be comparing it a little bit between the KTM 1290 Super Adventure, the BMW GS 1200, and the Yamaha, I think it's a Super Tenere 1200, as far as where it kind of sits in the market and who it's trying to please. Harley Davidson described this as a multi-tool for different riding situations and styles. Is kind of how they summed it up. And after having ridden it once already, I tend to agree with them. This bike has got 7 rider modes. I believe it's got a rain mode, which, as you can see, we might get to test out. It's been a bit wet today, not ideal. It's got a highway or cruise mode. Then it's got sport mode. Which we're in right now. Sport mode it's pretty sporty. It's pretty sporty. I was expecting personally to get on this thing and it feel big and heavy. My first impression when I got on this was the bars. The skinny little, like almost like Renthal MX bars. They're skinny. It's like holding onto dirt bike grips, which is kind of neat. Straight away I also noticed that they've gone away from a hydraulic clutch to a cable clutch. The motor itself has gone away from push rods to chain drive. So that's where the Revolutionary Max engine changes occurred. Excuse me. I also noticed the indicators. Harley, stereotypically, or historically, has had a right indicator button on the right hand side and a left indicator button on the left, and that self cancels when you come out of the corner. This, they've gone what I would consider to be traditional indicator controls. Oh, I keep fogging up. As you can tell, it's quite a high revving bike.
It's not short on power. I think it makes about 150 horsepower, and if you can compare it to the 4 bikes I was speaking of before, it comes in second. The KTM Super Adventure 1290 kicks everyone's butt at 160 brake horsepower, but you know, it is 1290 cc's. This is 1250, or a shade under. I think it's 1246. Coming back to the ride modes though, after speaking with Blair from Harley Davidson Fielding, he has programmed or been through ride mode A, which is customizable, as is ride mode B. He's called a Blair mode. And it's a bit mental. It's 100% power, 100% throttle response, and it's kind of scary power. After coming off the big old M109R Boulevard, to jump on this thing and have 150 brake horsepower at your disposal. Like the infotainment system down here is the same they use on other models of Harley. So if you're on Harleys already and you're going to jump onto this, you're going to notice consistency as far as that is concerned. Comes with heated hand grips, cruise control. It's even got a Siri button. I've talked about the adaptive ride height. This also has adaptive lighting. So if you were to lean into a corner, and it's not the only bike to do it, this is not new technology, but it is a nice plus if you don't have it. As you lean into the corner, the lights will illuminate the corner you're leaning into. The greater the lean angle, the brighter the light, which I think is a bloody awesome feature. Coming off a bike with a fairly basic controls, it can be a little overwhelming jumping on this. Behind the bark busters, which are nice to break the wind, you've got a whole bunch of controls. On the right hand side, you've got your mode button, your start button, your hazard lights. You have your Siri button, so you can press it to talk to Siri when you connect your headset via Bluetooth to the infotainment system. But they have all the controls with changing the track, turning the speaker volume up and down, and so on and so forth. On the left hand side, you have the heated hand grips, you have the cruise control. What else do you have? You have the high-low beams, the horn button and the indicator. After having ridden it again for this is the second time round, I'm still not really sure on why Harley have designed the left-hand controls the way they have. The high-low beams here are odd. You flick the button down to do the old flash pass thingy. In the neutral position is low beam, and in the heightened position is high beam. But it's right here. It's you can bump it with your glove. Also, too, the indicator, which is down here. Hope you can see that down here. It's obscured by a ridge on the controls there, which is a bit clumsy the first or second time you ride the bike. You do get used to it, but I think they've kind of overcrowded the controls. This is a 6-speed chain drive. The good thing about this, with the off-road rims, this has got spoked rims, and I'll show them to you shortly. They look cool for a start. They sort of got a very similar spoke pattern to the GS 1200. So they support a tubeless tyre even for off-road use. I think they're running a 19-inch on the front and 17 on the back. I could be wrong, I've been wrong before, but I don't think I am in this instance. They've designed the rim so that you can adjust or replace the spokes without removing the tyre. You can access the base of the spoke on the rim by sliding it out past the tyre, which I think is bloody awesome. Again, not new technology. The riding position on this is very comfortable, very comfortable. So you're quite upright. The bars have got enough adjustment in them where you can pull them back if you're slightly shorter. Also, too, the seating has, or the rider's seat has 3 adjustable levels. which are manually adjustable. You have to actually take the seat off. You have to take the pillion seat off, and then you adjust the rider's seat accordingly to how you want it. The seat itself, it's like a memory foam. It's very, very comfortable. I think you could probably bust out 100 miles in this without too much discomfort. My feet are slightly back from being directly under my knees. What I would call a typical ADV seating position. I'm upright, good field of view. The visor here, or the wind deflector, good thing about that is it deflects at its current height here. It deflects wind well up over my head, but it's not in my way. It's not on my field of view, which is awesome. Come to a light, bike squats down. It's not a hideous bike. In person, especially in this colour scheme, the gunmetal grey and black, I think it's quite a good looking bike actually. As I say, I was very surprised at how it feels. It's quite a narrow feeling bike between the legs. It feels light. It's quite flickable, I would say. It's got amazing brakes. It's got Brembo brakes. But the amount of travel, I mean, it is an ADV, so it's got, it's got a fair amount of travel in it. But you pile on the brakes at 100k an hour, it stops very securely. But geez, does it dive? I don't want to do it in traffic, I'll get rear-ended, but I'll do it before we return the bike. Yeah, it dives the nose quite dramatically. But hopping on this bike, it felt quite alien. As soon as I got on the bike, it felt alien. But as far as the bike making me feel safe, it's a very reassuring bike to ride. It's a very well sorted bike. I got on, I felt safe. It feels planted. It feels responsive through the steering, through the throttle, depending on what mode, of course, you have it in. I was very, very surprised. Over the years, if you've been following me for a wee while, you'll know that I'm a skeptic of Harley Davidson, and haven't really rated them very highly, but that was mainly out of ignorance because I never really rode them. Until Blair became the Harley dealer, and I've started riding a few, and you know what, it's a nice place to be. Not to say that you don't get the same experience out of other bikes, because you do. This bike, when you compare it with the others, is the heaviest. Even when you compare it against the mighty Super Adventure 1290, it's heavier by about 4 kgs. So Harley have tried quite hard to reduce the weight of this bike, where they've gone from a single frame where they've incorporated the motor into part of the frame structure. So the rear frame is bolted directly onto the motor, as is the headstock. It's all connected through the motor. Oh, you haven't got right away, mate. I'm knobhead. I mean, this is a big Harley Davidson. This is not a small bike, and I'm filtering quite nicely. It's got about a 21 litre tank. The mirrors on this bike, are simple. They are simple. They are not flashy, but they do well. They're good mirrors. They don't shake. They give a good field of view. They're at a good height where you might have to take your eye off the road too much. It's got some go, that's for sure. It's got some beans. Which way should we go? I think we'll go this way. So what else can I tell you about the bike?
Probably not a lot. This is not a full review. I'm not a motorcycle reviewer. I'm an experienced rider. I've been riding since I was, well, on the road since I was 16, 17, and I'm 43 now. So I've had 20 odd road bikes. Yeah, so this doesn't come from a reviewer's, I suppose, point of view. This comes from a rider's point of view. Would I buy this bike is probably an interesting question we might want to talk about. Would I buy this bike? Well, A, I haven't ridden it long enough or far enough to really, I suppose, look at it in the terms of would I spend $30-something thousand on it? I don't know. This is a new to market product. It's it's obviously gone through product testing, but it hasn't gone through real world extended ownership testing on a large scale. If you look at the likes of the Super Adventure or the GS, those things have been around for donkeys, and BMW with the likes of the GS have found faults and flaws, weak points in their product, and they've consistently worked to improve that product to where it is today. And I'm not saying that the GS is perfect. I don't think I'd even buy one, to be honest with you, and I don't know why. But this is a relatively unknown quantity in the ADV market. I'm not saying it's not worth the money. I'm not saying that. I am saying that it would be a concern for me buying this bike and not knowing how it performs or how reliable it really is. Here we go. Here's the suspension dive on this thing. It's phenomenal. If you're considering the Pan America and you want to know what it's like, ring Blair at Harley Davidson Fielding, email him, search him online, or go and see him, arrange a test ride. I mean, this bike is, I thought I knew what this bike was going to be. I thought I knew what it was going to be. I couldn't have been more wrong if I tried. This bike is nothing like I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be sluggish, heavy, clumsy, sketchy, titchy, unresponsive, but it's the opposite of all of those. It's quite surprising what this bike has turned out to be for me. So, now that I've ridden this thing for probably, I don't know, 100 kilometers, what do I think of the bike? My first impression. There we go, the bike's sitting back down again with stationary lights. What do I think of the bike? If I was to sum up in 2 words, it would probably be pleasantly surprised. Some of the attention to detail on this bike is pretty cool. Like, it's got rubberized foot grips for your sort of highway type stuff, but then you can take out the rubberized inserts and you're left with what I would describe as a dirt bike foot grip. That really spiky little jaw like thing. And the foot pegs as well do not they don't sit a mile out from the bike. They're nice and compact and sit close, so they're not going to get in the way if you're taking this off road. It's got crash protection all around it, already on it. It's got bark busters. I think Harley have done a pretty bloody good job, actually. It'd be interesting to see how this goes 2 up. Pleasantly surprised. Quietly impressed. There you go. Oh, that might sum it up. Quietly impressed. Actually, I'm going to give him more credit than quietly impressed, because clearly I'm doing a video about it. And I'm kind of singing its praises. It's a fun bike, that's for sure. So, I suppose let's sum it up now that we're approaching the dealership. I've summed it up in a few words. Handling. It's responsive, it's flickable, feels light. Suspension, plenty of it. Brakes, stops well. Good brakes. Responsivity, depending on what mode you're in, mechanically, this has got plenty to go. It responds as much as you want it to respond. Aesthetically, it's not ugly. But that's a matter of opinion, really, I guess. There was once a time I thought it was ugly. Now, not so much. And it feels safe. Well planted. Well done, Harley Davidson. You've done a good job creating this. Well done. Not that you need my kudos. Well done. So there we are, team. The Harley Davidson 1250 Pan America. Pretty cool bike, actually. Pretty cool. I think my words when I first saw this on a press release when it was a concept was, Harley, what are you thinking? Clearly, they're having some good ideas. Anyway, thanks for coming along, guys. I don't know if this has been of any help. Hopefully you liked it. Yeah, stay safe and we'll catch you on the next one. Later.